Well, after announcing investments to the tune of 23 billion euros, Emmanuel Macron says the Kenyan summit marks a financial shift in relations between France and African countries, including those that were once its colonies. France 24's François Picard is in Nairobi. He spoke earlier with French Minister of Francophonie and International Partnerships about what exactly Paris has to offer the African continent and about the role the French language plays in an English-speaking country like Kenya.
As the sun sets on your first African summit, here we see a day where the stars of the show were the host, William Ruto, the French President, Emmanuel Macron, but perhaps arguably another star of the show was Aliko Dangote, the Nigerian businessman, Africa's richest man, who's just invested in building a refinery in Kenya. What does that tell you about the way these summits have evolved?
Well, it is a very inclusive summit. It's a summit of heads of states, and right now we're in the facilities where the main summit is taking place. But yesterday we had a business forum with over 700,000 people participating, and announcements of 23 billion euros of private investment into the African continent. And a bit more of half of that is French companies investing in the continent, and the rest is African companies investing also in the continent. So it says a lot about what it is. It is investment, private investment with public regulation, with reforms, with domestic funds being mobilized, but also, of course, investment from developed countries, G7 countries that want to continue being present in Africa and respond to their partners.
Yeah, it's daunting, everything that needs to be done. It's also daunting when you look at the competition. You take Kenya, right? Yeah. China investing over the last 2 years more than the United States and the European Union combined. What does that tell you?
Well, it says again that the framework is evolving, but what you hear today at this Africa Forward Summit is a need for France to be even more present in the continent, but also for this renewed relationship to be fully embraced by all participants.
So why France? Because, again, they don't have the kind of money the Chinese do, right?
It's true, but it's not only about the money. It is a lot about the diaspora, so that's true for many Francophone countries, but also throughout Africa. Also a know-how in terms of, developing of cities, building facilities for mobility, for also water treatment. I mean, I can go and give you 1,000 of examples, but what is true is that we need to respond to the priorities of the countries in which we're investing, and this is why companies like Orange, for instance, are investing in digital centers, also training. What we hear a lot is we need to be able to create jobs, sustainable jobs, and this is also what we're doing here and what we're doing with Kenya, in particular with the University of Nairobi.
Yeah, the University of Nairobi teaming up with Paris-Saclay University. I saw that memorandum of understanding being signed. Of course, the next question the Kenyans always ask us is, can we have a visa, please?
Yeah, it's true that mobility is a question, and it's an issue that we're raising together. The idea is for talent to be able to travel, but to travel also back to Africa, to be able to have more cooperation, more universities cooperating with one another, and also global programs. So this is part of this dynamic, and it is a question that we're addressing and that other European countries are addressing and that we discussed also at a G7 level.
Should there be more student visas for African students in France?
I believe there should be more targeted, to the point visas that allow the talents that we need to come and then to be able to also go back to their countries and to continue this dialogue. So yes, the general response will be yes, but it depends in which sectors. It has to be sectors where we have needs to build these kinds of innovations and talent, and also Francophone. So I'm as you know, also in charge of Francophonie, developing Francophonie in English-speaking and Portuguese-speaking Africa is also very important for us.
So here's an interesting one. Our reporter Bastien Renouille did a story on this. Kenya has zero borders with any French-speaking countries, and yet in middle school, it's the preferred second language. How do you convert the try? How do you get it so that it's more than just a couple of years in middle school?
I think this needs a political drive and a political will, and this is also what we're building in this Heads of State Summit. When African leaders see that France is really renewing its relationship with the continent, has a desire to be present, to respond to their needs, and in particular to develop resilient solutions to the challenges that this continent is facing. Then this also increases the willingness of implementing programs that will allow for kids to speak French and to then study in France for exchanges. I take Angola, for instance. It's a Portuguese-speaking country that has made mandatory learning French in middle school. So these examples are very good examples of what can be done if there is this political will.
So I'm old enough to remember a time when a minister of Francophonie granting an interview in English was heresy. Is that message getting across to people in Paris that you need to make the pitch in countries like Kenya?
Yeah, and Francophonie is not about French only. It's about multilingualism. It's about a French minister of Francophonie being able to respond to an interview in English or in Portuguese or in Spanish or in other languages, because this is what it is about. It is about being able to discuss in several languages, refusing a language hegemony, and making sure French remains attractive. And we've become the fourth most spoken language in the world, and this is because French, but this is not only French, right? As Francophone countries are seen as attractive for jobs, for exchanges, for innovation, for a lot of things that we're fostering and promoting here in Africa Forward.
Éléonore Caroit, many thanks for speaking with us in English here on France 24.
Thank you very much. In France 24.